Hello and welcome back to the Spa Business Mastery Podcast. I'm Kirsten Foss, and in this episode, we are talking about the September Numerology Business Forecast. So, this is all about the energetics of September that is being felt by all of us. It's the universal energy of the month. And it's really helpful to understand how these energies are going to be showing up, not only in our personal life, but definitely in our business, because I mean, our business is simply just an extension of our own personal passions and vision for what we want to do with our own purpose and how do we want to create a difference, what the kind of impact we want to make and the kind of transformations we want to provide to the people in our community. So listen in today's forecast because we're going to be diving into the energy of the 8, which is happening all of September. So before we do dive into that, let's, as usual, debrief the month that we are just finished up. So that would be August 2024, and August was a 7 energy month. So with that 7 energy, it was all about fierce faith, and likely you had some situations showing up in your personal life or your business that required some fierce faith, meaning you couldn't see an answer, couldn't find a solution, you had an inner knowing about something, and you trusted that inner knowing, or maybe you weren't able to trust it. That's the low vibration of the 7 energy. And maybe you were really struggling with this lack of trust. And that can show up as like analysis paralysis, or just feeling super stuck in your business and not knowing which way to turn. The 7 energy also is very active with isolation when it's in its low vibration. So if you're feeling stuck in your business, and even more stuck because you're like on your own and you didn't have anybody to bounce ideas off of, then you were fully under the influence of that low vibration of 7. But if you were able to be aware of what was happening, which is what these forecasts are all about, so you can see what's coming down the pipe and not be surprised about it. And not only not be surprised, but actually be able to show up with some tools and awareness, and even just the ability to be open and to be coachable by life. So the 7 energy, I'm really curious how it showed up in your personal life, in your business. You can always either send me an email about your feedback. I do get plenty of emails with past clients and consumers saying that, oh, wow, like you really nailed it, because that was exactly what was going on. So if you want to talk about it, I love talking about numerology and the energetics of numbers and all the spiritual woo things that we can get into with both our personal life and our business. So the thing about the 7 energy from last month about having fierce faith is that, it's an opportunity for us to think about our relationship with risk and how we handled that. And in my podcast last month, a business podcast, I was talking about like how to minimize risk in your business. And that you minimize that by pairing your intuition with the data, because that is literally the high vibration of the 7. The 7 energy is very high intellect. It also has a very, very strong intuition. So many of us were prompted to go inwards to start developing that trust topic when it comes to our business. Now, the whole reason, like when you think about, in numerology, we're moving from a 7 energy to an 8 energy. Like, what kind of impact did the 7 is going to have on the 8? Well, if you don't have a great relationship with risk, and you haven't been able to kind of make sense of risk, again, risk, when there's risky things like risky decisions to make, risky situations, we have to tap into our intuition in order to figure out whether that's actually safe or not. So if we didn't really do much work around our intuition and our kind of pairing that with our intellect on the topic of risk, as we move into the energetics of 8, 8 does not like risk at all. So in this manifestation cycle, you can see how we have the opportunity to make friends with risk, so that when we shift into the 8 energy of depth and devotion, that it feels safe to go deep into subject matter expertise. It feels safe to have that deep dive because we've made sense and we've made peace and we have skills and tools to manage our risk. So it's safe enough to go into that deep dive. So let's move on to the energy of the 8 for September 2024. So the other aspect of the fact that we're in an 8 energy month is it's going to mirror and be a pulse check for us as far as how is our 8 energy year going? Because we are all in a universal 8 energy year for 2024. So the things that come up this month around that 8 energy is also a pulse check for us to see how we're doing with the highs and the low vibration of the 8. The energy of 8 is all about results and outputs. It's the law of cause and effect, very, very much goal oriented. And the 8 is often associated with abundance. So when you tip the 8 on its side, it actually becomes the infinity symbol. And that kind of leads us to that concept of infinite abundance of the 8 energy. So there is a really great potential for great wealth, but there's also potential for great struggle with money. So the 8 energy has a lot to do with abundance. It has a huge amount to do with our relationship with abundance. And I think most of us kind of correlate abundance to money. And so how has our relationship with money and abundance been going this year in 2024? Are there places that we, could be cleaning up our relationship with money? So the month of September is going to be that little litmus test as far as how we're doing with it. So let's move into more of the details of the high vibration and the low vibration of the 8 so you can recognize it when it's showing up in your business or your personal life. And a little side note, as usual, like if you are a ruling number 8, this is a big month for you. It's your energy. And also if you have an 8, like if your birth card is an 8. So although my ruling number is a 10, my birth card in cardology is an 8 of clubs. So I really, really get the 8 energy. I love the 8 energy and I really understand the highs and the lows of the 8 energy. Anyways, let's get into the high vibration of the 8 to see what we can recognize. So the 8 in general is about depth and devotion. So when we think about the manifestation cycle, 1, fresh starts, new beginnings. 2, connection and collaboration. 3 is amplified creativity and communication. 4 is stability and structure. 5 is change for your greatest and highest good. 6 is balance, harmony, and karmic adjustments. 7 is fierce faith. And now we move into the 8 of depth and devotion. So even just with those titles of each one, you can see the work that is being done at each number or each stage as we move through these months. So the 8 with depth and devotion is 8 energy loves to go deep on anything. I see a lot of 8 ruling numbers in the spa industry, and 8 is the number of subject matter expertise. So really no surprise that we see a lot of 8s in this industry. I've done a couple of team numerology assessments, and it's really cool to see how many 8s are on a really strong team. So if that's something that you're curious about, like where are the struggles and the strengths in my team, we can see this in a numerology team assessment. It's really, really clear. We can see exactly what's going on with each of our teammates energetically. So okay, so depth and devotion, subject matter expertise. This is natural abundance energy. It's about responsibility with money, being responsible with our abundance, which sometimes I think that as humans, we can be a bit willy-nilly about and not be as responsible as we need to be. So and it's really about grounding your devotion into material abundance. So that's the big piece of the 8 energy, is taking that passion and that depth and devotion, and you're pairing it with your career, which is allowing you to move into using that for abundance. So I do notice with the 8 energy, so if somebody has a ruling number 8, or in cardology they're an 8, or um, they have a lot of 8s in their charts, there is this kind of struggle with money. Like it can come really easy, but can go really easy. And it's about your relationship with money and abundance. More high vibration of the 8 is organization, self-discipline, momentum, and flow. So once we've gone through like 1 to 7 in this manifestation cycle, we're now ready to dive deep and kind of dive deep and roll with what we're doing. So I would say a lot of us in the spa industry likely have some 8s in their chart, especially if you love to go deep in your knowledge and learning. Endurance is a high vibration of 8. 8 is also another key theme with the 8 is power. And we have seen the theme of power play out across the globe in different ways. And when we're looking at power, we're looking at the two sides of power. There's the healthy power, which is empowered, um, and how you behave when you're empowered versus when you have power over people. And so I know all of us have seen and experienced when somebody has had power over us, and that is incredibly disempowering. And so the topic of power this year, being an 8 energy year, has been a really big one. It's like, how are you sourcing your power? Um, do you feel like you can source your power from internally? And that's moves into kind of talking about our own authority, our own self-authority. And in my opinion and my experience in the spa industry, while there is a lot of people that have used their kind of self-authority and their autonomy to build their business, they somehow start losing that self-authority once they're in it as entrepreneurs. And I think it's because most of us came up the ranks as service provider. And so there's a insecurity about kind of being a business person. Like that's not our subject matter expertise. And that feels super uncomfortable for an 8, for that 8 energy. 8 energy wants to know it all. And so, with that, kind of topic of self-authority, we can get kind of lost and not feel like we can be an authority in our business with our team, with ourselves, with the direction, the strategy, because kind of we're feeling unstable with that business aspect of it. So, we have this topic of a self-authority. We also, in the terms of power, we also have this like powerful presence. And it's really, really important that we're aware of when we are tempted to abuse that power. And none of us want to think that we do. But when we are in our low vibration, it happens. And so that low vibration of the 8 becomes overbearing and controlling and bossy. That's an abuse of power. So think about what you have been experiencing this year when it comes to self-authority, like how you feel about your own self-authority, and also the authority of others. 8s typically don't like authority. They don't like anybody telling them what to do, but they also like to know stuff. So there's kind of that friction there. 8s are the problem solvers, incredible problem solvers. So, as spa owner, if you have 8, if you're really number 8, you have 8s in your chart, then that's part of what your magic is you are a problem solver for your consumers, your clients. And I would, if you are a really number 8, I would really capitalize that in your marketing as positioning yourself as an authority. I know this might make you feel uncomfortable, but this just means that there's a little bit of work to do on the topic of your own self-authority and claiming it back. But this is the month for sure to claim yourself as a subject matter expertise publicly, not staying in your treatment room and keeping it, your town's best kept secret. Ambition is another one of the 8. I've really, in a way struggled with my ambition. Like it is so big. And yet, life experiences happen and, throttles us back. But I think it's important to understand the energy of ambition is really ramped up with this 8 energy. Management is an 8 energy high. Prioritizing. This comes in under the topic of like momentum and flow. You can't have momentum and flow if you're not prioritizing. And then the last piece here, which is a big part of it as well, is commitment. So like these priorities, commitment, momentum and flow, self-discipline, organization, those all come together to create a really strong leader. Eight's an amazing leader. It's more the management leadership, but they love to lead because they know stuff. They want to share it with everybody, typically. So let's like move into the low vibration and see what happens when that 8 low shows up in our life and business. So 8s typically don't like superficial anything. It's either go deep or go home. And so if you like with this energy of the month, this in September with the 8 energy, if you're feeling like I just don't have it in me, I'll just do the minimum. I urge you to rethink that because that's definitely not the month. This is not the month to do that. And because the superficiality is, it keeps your business superficial. It keeps all the things superficial. Stubbornness is a low vibration of the 8. Issues with money. I talked about this a little bit before. So if you are a ruling number 8, I suspect that you have this love-hate relationship with money. And the other piece of like, if you're not a ruling number 8 and just using this 8 energy, there may be some issues with money coming up because really it's just giving you an opportunity to start making peace with your relationship with money. I actually did a really great little course, online course with Megan Alton. She's my numerology mentor. And she was beta testing a little course this summer called Healing Currency. And it was all about, really healing our relationship with money. And I think there was probably about 25 people in the group. And gosh, it was so interesting to hear everybody's, well, not everybody shared, but to those that did share, what their relationship with money was and like how it got to be to that place. There's a lot of money trauma that people have experienced. And as far as money trauma, it usually is paired with like somebody's got power over you with money. So like very 8 energy, low vibration. But all of this to say is that there are resources out there to learn and to explore your relationship with money more on an energetic level, an emotional level. There's, with money trauma comes like trauma responses. Like it depends on what your trauma response is. So if you are kind of getting the niggling that you've got some money stuff, belief systems, money trauma, like just stuff that could possibly use some exploration and clearing up, connect with me and I'll connect you to Megan Alton. Because I do believe she's putting that course on a like kind of do-it-yourself kind of program, self-led. Okay, so issues with money. This month, don't be surprised if there are issues with money. Lack, more, the teeter-totter, okay? It's really just asking us to like, hey, what is your relationship with money? Maybe there's some things to clean up. Stagnation is the low of 8. Remember the infinity, it loves to move. It needs to move that infinity loop. And the other thing about the infinity loop, kind of metaphorically speaking, is that because it's about momentum and flow, so the perfect spot in the infinity loop is right in the middle, right? But because there's a momentum and flow, it doesn't stay in the middle. It's meant to move. And so I think a lot of times we expect to have like an arrival at like everything's the way it should be. And that's that sweet spot in the middle of the infinity loop. But the reality of it is this, we are living a human experience and it's all about dualities. And the only way we learn is to have these highs and low experiences so we can recognize the high and the low and choose. That's truly the purpose. What are you going to choose? So, okay, so yeah, so the influence with money, issues with money and the infinity loop, like I just want my money to stay. If you still have stuff going on about money, it's it's going to keep flowing. And it's up to us to learn how to recognize where we are in that flow and that loop, and to also manage our expectations. Like there's no arrival of it. We're constantly evolving. More low vibration is that power over, controlling, disempowerment, and also playing the victim. That's like the opposite, still very low. So I do know with the 8 energy as a ruling number. So if you do know anybody with 8s, they might have a little tendency to be a little dramatic. And, when they're feeling low and they're feeling disempowered, to either have power over or to play the victim. That's how that shows up. So if you have a team member that is an 8 and you're noticing this behavior, it's low vibration. Something's going on that needs to be addressed. Laziness is another low vibration. Lacking focus and playing small is the low vibration of 8. The 8 is like, think like even visualize the 8. It's kind of like round. It's almost visualize it with somebody with their hands on their hips and like, okay, let's go. That kind of leadership, focus, and playing their biggest game. They're not playing small at all. So that's what's to be expected as far as the energies in September. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about where else we see the 8 in spirituality, because it's quite a divine number. So we do see the 8 in tarot. So of course the tarot deck all have numbers as well as the names to their cards. So numerology and tarot actually go really, really well together. But in tarot, the 8 is associated with the strength card. And often in the strength card, depending on what your deck looks like, if it's the traditional Rider-Waite deck, or maybe it's something that's more modern, has modern artwork, but typically you see a lion on that strength card. And it's because like the lion is also associated with the 8. There's the Lionsgate portal that we just had in August. So August 8. So August is the 8th month. It was on the 8th day. And this year it happened to be an 8 energy year. So it was a really cool portal. And that Lionsgate portal has been used by ancient, I think it was the Sumerians that were doing that, as a time frame where they knew that it was kind of like the peak of the sun, the Sirius was in line, and that's when they did some of their ceremonies. So it was considered a very auspicious and spiritual and very powerful manifesting time with that Lionsgate portal. So again, we've got the 8 of the Lionsgate portal. The lion is the term lion is coming in through astrology because it's in Leo. Then that kind of moves, like we've got the imagery with the tarot card with a lion being there. Now with back to tarot and strength and the lion being in that card, it's a lot about walking with the beast rather than trying to tame the beast. So again, we've got these themes of power rather than power over, which would be taming the beast. We've got this kind of more of a collaborative approach. And so we're walking with that beast rather than trying to tame it. So not controlling it, walking with it. In Indigenous knowledge, we often will hear about Grandmother Spider. She's got 8 legs and she is like a wisdom keeper. The Ishtar Sumerian goddess, she is represented by an 8-pointed star. And then there's various, like I've got a book called The Power of 8, and it was some tests that had been done in terms of like, what's the optimal size of a group in terms of energetics and manifesting and all that kind of stuff. And they did this testing and they found that was like 8 people. 8 people was the perfect group to create this little energetic hub that worked. It created real results for people. So 8 has traditionally been a very powerful number in all sorts of different religions and stories and symbolism. Okay, so let's move into more of the practical aspects of the 8 energy and how does the 8 energy show up? How's it going to show up in your business? So because 8 is about a lot about abundance, so hopefully you are seeing some financial growth because 8 is linked to that power, authority, and the ability to attract abundance. So if you have like this isn't the month to lay low on your marketing. This is the month to go all in, go deep on your marketing in order to kind of all pool up into this financial growth. You might find yourself feeling more confident as a leader in this 8 energy month because the 8 energy is about leadership empowerment. You might be feeling extra, jazzed to create some goals and to create strategy around those goals. So remember, the 8 is like 8 loves strategy. 8 is the problem solver of all of the numbers. And so you may just find yourself coming up with really elegant solutions to stuff that that's been dangling for a bit that you haven't been able to really figure out. Organizational efficiencies, so your operations, if those are places to look at and analyze to see how efficient are there, where are the inefficiencies? So remember that 8 energy is a big time about organization. So this is where you could be taking a look at things and analyzing. Because 8 energy has this massive manifesting power, if you aren't normally doing any kind of manifestation, kind of prayers or meditations or anything like that, this is a really great month to get started with your just your spiritual habits and what you're doing. And because the 8 energy is about developing strong relationships and like deepening those relationships, you might see just kind of witnessing some increased client loyalty or team loyalty. What about the low vibrations? As there could be like opportunity for more financial wealth and abundance, you might be finding yourself financially challenged. Maybe you're cash strapped. There's just not enough businesses coming in. Maybe you've been overspending or you overspent. Oops. Either way, there's cash flow issues, and it's a flag that it's time to start becoming more responsible with your financial literacy and your financial habits. You might be feeling overwhelmed with your responsibility at work, especially if you have a team. Like they say, with great power comes great responsibility. And so this is why sometimes when spa owners, like especially solos, come to me and saying, I want to grow a team. I want to build up a team. And so one of the first things I want to have a conversation about is how are you feeling about being responsible for X amount of people and all the operations. And for some, it's oh, I didn't even think about that. And I don't really want to do that. And that is really good information. For others, it's like, yep, okay, I'm aware. I'm ready to go. I still want to build a team, but just really needing to be aware of that overwhelm of responsibility maybe coming up, especially in September. Now, what's the fix for that? Well, part of it is, I would definitely say, as a spa owner, like we need booked self-care, not just when we can fit it in when there's time, but actually like that's part of that responsibility in my leadership. I cannot lead from an empty cup. And if I keep trying to, I'm going to burn out my nervous system again. Like this happened multiple times for me, is burnout. And I'm at a stage in my life where I'm very, very aware and very protective of my nervous system. So anytime there is overwhelm, especially overwhelm with responsibility, I kick in my self-care, more radical self-care until I'm feeling a little better. So I mean, if you have a team, you're already taking care of a lot of people, including your clientele and the business. And so you got to remember to take care of yourself too. We got to walk the talk, spa owners. Come on. We're the worst for it. I've gotten much, much better. Another thing you want to pay attention to is power struggles. That definitely comes up when the 8 energy is very active. And it may be power struggles between you and a client. It may be between staff, you and a staff member. It could be happening at home. Either way, just recognize, oh, look, here's some power struggles. This is the low vibration of the 8. It's because the assertive energy of the 8 likes to be directive and assertive. But, if there's resistance to change with other people, and if that person is not feeling great, it feels, those the power struggle is, there's rigidity, and which causes lack of innovation and creates a toxic culture in your business. So anytime you are recognizing power struggles, get on it right away and address it, because it will literally poison your business. Especially if the team there's drama in there. And finally, what might show up between you and your team, if you have a team, is unfulfilled ambitions. And so, having ambitions is great. And I think for all of us, like, we want to feel ambitious. It makes us feel purposeful. And we want a team that's ambitious, because that means they're hungry and they're moving forward towards something. But the thing is that as long as everybody's resourced really well to be able to hit those goals that they want, that's great. But if we're not resourced well enough, then that's where we come up with, like, having this unfulfilled ambition, and that just makes me feel cranky. It makes me feel disempowered, and I know it would do that for you and your team as well. So, you know, looking, if you are kind of in those feels, looking at places to where you need to be resourced will be very helpful in that. All right, so let's see what else I want to share with you with the energy of the 8. I love the energy of the 8, like I said. And I would want to kind of bring up just a few little themes that, you can kind of distill this back down for the month. So we're going to be looking at stuff with power. So that's going to be a big theme. So one of them, I think, for the spa industry, yes, there's the outer relationships, like our relationships with other people, and power over, all of that stuff, empowered. But what I really want to bring attention to you is more of your inner power, because when we have our inner power when we're tapped into that, that is our empowered state. And we can do so much with our empowered state. Like, don't hold me back. But, if we're struggling with our own inner power, that's why I was kind of mentioning earlier about our own self-authority, like not feeling confident, pairing that with your inner critic who shows up on the regular that's part of that 8 energy as well, can be really, really disruptive and very destructive as well. And so, paying attention, being aware of your own inner power and your inner critic, and how those two things how they're playing throughout the month, will give you it'll give you some breadcrumbs in terms of, like, what are you supposed to learn from this as far as your business and your personal life. Another theme will be talking about your money response. Like, your money response is your responsibility. And so what is your money response when it comes to abundance? Like, when you don't have enough, what's your money response emotionally? And like, what are the actions that happen? When money's coming in, what is your emotional response and what are your actions? Is there friction in that? And where are the places that might be able to be healed? The third theme is no gatekeeping as a knowledge keeper. And I see so many of you are so smart about what you do and how you can transform people's life, but you are so worried about being seen, like, social media and your marketing, that you're gatekeeping your knowledge. So this month is about, like, no gatekeeping for the knowledge keeper. You are the knowledge keeper in this case. And the fourth theme is about aligned ambition, staying intentional, staying gentle, and not bowling over in your ambition, and bowling over yourself that shows up as like kind of getting, upset that you're not where you should be. And also bullying over other people, like you're in my way. Like, I mean, you might be saying it really nice, but it might come across as kind of pushy and bossy. So those are the weekly themes that we'll be working with in the Soul of Business membership this month. And I'll be expanding on each of these themes every week in that group. I get on a Facebook Live, and it's really a prompt for awareness in your business and kind of finding those little leaky places of your energy, of your time, of your money that could be better, like used in a more efficient way. And so I use those weekly updates as a deeper dive into each one of those topics. And then we also will be getting into in our membership. So we always have our Soul Circle meeting on either the first Monday or the first Tuesday of the month, depending on if there is a stat holiday. And included in the membership every month are also marketing prompts for the energy that's happening for everybody. So I'll be going through those with the Soul Spa business at our call. We've got our call on our Soul Circle is going to be on Tuesday, September 3rd. So if you would like to join the Soul of Business membership, it's a monthly membership, and we meet every month to talk about the energetics of the month in terms of business strategy. And we also are going to be going into like what we need to, like as far as topics for marketing, in order for the clients to be able to, they don't need to understand the energetics behind it, but your marketing will stimulate something in them that's happening for them too, because they're in the same energy that we all are. So if you're interested in the solo spa business, please let me know. You can reach out to me and I will send you some more information. It's only $66 a month. And you got a great community of heart-centered spa and wellness entrepreneurs who are totally into the woo and blending. They're really learning how to blend their soul work and spirituality and the energetics of life with their business strategy. It's very, very cool to see how that's all developing. And it really generates a lovely alignment as far as us as entrepreneurs when we're using business strategy with energy. It's really cool. All right, that is the forecast for September 2024. If you have any questions about numerology and how to use numerology in your business strategy, please reach out to me. You can reach me at kirstenfoss.com, or you can comment or send me a DM on any of my socials, and I will be sure to get back to you. We'll see you in about 10 days for our business topic. We'll see you then.